Okay, now we're going to do a demo on the watercolors and their techniques. What you need is a sheet of white paper, a water cup, a flat brush, a palette, and a paper towel. Make sure in class you have a newspaper underneath this. Now, a wash is also called a flat wash. What you're going to do is dip your brush into the water. You don't want it to drip too much. Pick a color. And paint the entire thing in. The key to a good wash is having the color consistent throughout. This is really good for doing backgrounds. Now you see how dark that is? That means I need some more water. You want it to be consistent. This is sometimes called a flat wash, and it's meant for backgrounds and large areas of paint. If you find that you have a puddle of water or a puddle of paint, you could take your paper towel and dab at it. I don't have that, so I'm good. So that's your wash. You can do it any color you want. All right? Now for the graded wash, what you're going to do is rinse out your brush. Make sure all the color is out of it. The way you make sure that all the color is out of it is you press the side like this. And when you press it, it should be clear. You can also use the paper towel to see if there's any color. There's a little bit of color, but not much. Now it's clear. So your brush is clear. That way you don't have any accidents with the paint going into another color. All right? So dip your brush again, pick another color. Now this, you want mostly paint more than water on your brush. You want it as dark as possible. And you're going to go on the very top. You go over it a couple of times to get it dark. See, I have a little puddle there. Take my paper towel and dab at it. Right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this brush, dip it a little bit into my water, then dab it onto my paper towel. Then I'm going to put a line directly underneath the first line. Now if you'll notice, this is lighter than the previous line. This is what we call a graded wash. I'm going to do the same thing again. Dab it on my paper towel and make another line. It should be lighter than the other line before it. There's no reason to have a white space in between each of these lines. You want it to change from dark to light. This is how you make things. This is how you make things look three-dimensional. This is how you give your sky a dark to light technique. So keep going until you get to the bottom or until you get to the bottom or until you get to clear. Now the key is you want it to change gradually. You don't want it to be like dark, medium, and then white. The closer you have the colors to each other, the more realistic it'll look. Notice that I'm not filling up my brush anymore with paint. I'm just adding it a little bit of water and dabbing it onto my paper towel. And you see that my orange is almost clear. You don't want to dunk the whole paintbrush in there. Otherwise, you're going to have a very light color. It's going to go from dark and then all of a sudden it's going to be very, very light. You want to see that change going on. Okay? Very good. Okay, now you want to get a dark blue. Make sure your brush is clear. See, mine still has orange on it. So rinse it out some more. Now there may be times when your water glass is so dark that it doesn't clean the brush out, so you have to rinse it out. I'm talking about the water glass. You're going to do a wash of the wet on wet and the wet on dry. Now see, I have a lot of water on this one. It's okay, it's a demo, you don't have to worry about it. And do the same thing with the wet on dry. Need a little bit more water. If you ever see that, make sure you put more water on your brush. I see how I'm getting lighter. That means I need more paint on my brush. You'll get the hang of it knowing based on what you paint, what you need, either paint or water. Okay, now rinse your brush out. If it's not completely rinsed out, that's okay. Grab some red, as much as you can, so dip it a lot into the red and make an X. Okay. And we're going to just leave that like that. We're going to rinse out our brush. Remember what I told you, push it on the bottom and the sides and above the water line. Then kind of turn your brush, kind of like a mop. And then dab it on the paper towel. Now, for dry brushing, what you're going to do is you're going to take your brush and kind of squeeze it out a little bit. You don't have to press hard. Just squeeze it out a little bit so that it's not dripping anymore. And you're going to pick another color that you haven't used. I haven't used purple yet, so I'm going to use purple. Right? Your brush is damp, so you don't have to worry about it, paint not getting on there. And just paint however you want. When it's this light, that means I need more paint. Now you notice that these textures are very scratchy looking. This is how you would do your grass, your hair, fur, anything like that. That's dry brushing. So when you're doing a wash or you're doing something else and you see this texture, that means that you know you need more water in your brush. All right? I'm going to rinse my brush out. Make sure all the color that you use is gone. Now I'm going to dip it in water again and grab a black. Now for this wash, you want it to be very dark. So dip it a lot in the color. If there's a lot of water on this, it's okay. You don't have to worry about it that much since it's a demo. But plus, there's a reason. It's going to help with this next technique. You want this black to be very dark. That's why we're using a flat brush. Flats help with background painting and wash painting. All right, so I have all the paint here. Now take your paper towel, put it around your finger like this, and dab. Now on watercolor paper, this will show up much better. On this thin copy paper, you can't really see it, but there are textures on here, and it helps when the paint is still wet looking. You see how it's getting lighter? This is how you make your clouds. Anytime you're doing a landscape or anything like that, you can make clouds or you can add this texture to something else. It's up to you what you want to add it to. But this is one technique that you can use. It's a little fun. And plus you make really neat clouds. When we do it on watercolor paper, it will look really sharp. All right, so rinse your brush out again. Now we're going to go back to the wet on dry. Still might be a little damp, but it's much drier than before when you painted that X. So you loaded your paintbrush. Now you're going to grab the red again. Load it onto your paintbrush and make the X. Now, you'll notice that when we did it while the back was still wet, now with the watercolor paper, what's great is that this will stay wet and it will start to merge with the background. It will get a little fuzzy looking. With wet on dry, it will be very, very sharp and the color will pop. So you can put things on top of each other and the top layer will be a little bit sharper. When you do wet on wet, especially when the background is very, very wet, when you paint the next color, they'll start to merge together and they'll get this really fuzzy technique. It didn't really happen on this paper, but we're using copy paper, so that will happen. And that's it. Make sure you have your name and period number on it, and then just put it on the drying rack when you're done. Okay? That's it.